Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm just gonna wait a couple more minutes, see if there's any last minute people coming in. So one thing I just wanted to mention about the schedule page before we get started. If there's ever any technical glitches like this afternoon, for some reason the streaming wasn't working very well with the sound journey. But most of those things are in the schedule list, and they can be played directly from YouTube. So if there's ever a streaming problem, or if you ever want to replay anything, if you miss something, you can always go to that schedule page and just get it there. And we have been posting replays on that page as well. I think it was mentioned earlier. So if you miss something, it's always in that list. Okay, so I think we'll get started. Yeah, so a few logistical things. So I think, yeah, the first thing is, so when we go into the dyads, it's important that you're actually there at your computer when you go into the dyads. So everybody who is in the Zoom meeting will automatically get put into breakout rooms. And so if you're not at your computer and you don't accept that message, it kind of throws a wrench into our numbers, and the tech hosts really have to do quite a dance to shuffle people around. I think last night there were quite a few people who were just away from their computers. So I think what we're going to do tonight, if you don't respond within a few minutes, within maybe 5 minutes, we're just going to either exit you from the meeting, so you'd have to log in, or put you in a waiting room if you're on no show, if there's just an unresponsive box there. Just please be mindful about just leaving the Zoom meeting open if you are going away. Thank you. Yeah, and the other thing was, so if you are going to leave the Zoom meeting, please do it before we put you in breakout rooms as well. I think last night the last dyad we had about 8 people who just exited right after we did the breakout room. So it'd be better to exit before you go into the breakout room, just so that again, the shuffling is a lot of work for those guys. So that would be great. So I'm going to start out with a little story from Zen, from the Zen tradition. And this story sort of illustrates something very important for this practice. So, we can have the best intentions to do this work, but still really miss the key thing that's going on in this whole awakening process. And so this story, many of you have heard this story before. This is one I always tell, so my apologies to those people who've heard it. But there's a student who goes to a Zen center, and the student is very diligent. They're like pretty much a perfect student. So they've studied all the sutras, and they show up for all the teachings. They're there meditating every day, following all the rituals and the bowing and the doing the whole Zen thing perfectly. And so they've been there for a while, doing their practice. And one day the Zen teacher goes up to them. They're sitting in meditation, just doing their meditation. And the teacher says, "What are you doing there?" And the student says, "Well, I'm meditating. I'm trying to be enlightened. I'm doing the Zen thing." And the teacher goes and picks up a tile, a stone tile, and gets a rag and starts polishing the tile. And the student is kind of perplexed, and they say to the teacher, "What are you doing? Why are you polishing that tile?" And the teacher says, "Well, I'm trying to turn this tile into a mirror." And the student says, "Well, you could be polishing that tile forever. It's a stone tile. It doesn't turn into a mirror. That's impossible." And the teacher says, "And that's what you're doing in your meditation practice. And your whole practice is being done in the mind. It's the character meditating." So this analogy, in our practice, in our meditation, in our dyads, if we're just doing something with our character, if we're just operating from the conditioned self, then we're just polishing tiles. It's the character never awakens. The character will never become enlightened. We wake up from that character. Yeah, so this is a perfect analogy for what can happen in these dyads, and so once again, I'm going to revisit it a little bit. I have a few other pointers here as well. So, when we use the word "I" in the dyad, it really is an amazing way to sort of get inside what's actually going on here. So tonight we're going to, the facilitators are going to start really questioning the use of "I" in the dyads. So if you're using words like "I" or "me" or "mine," we might come in and just say, "Who is that referring to? Who is that I?" And so we want to start really paying extra attention. So we're going to be creating tighter conditions as we go in these dyads. And so you can expect the facilitators to be a little bit more interactive. And when we receive the imperative, one of the things that was mentioned, I think, in one of the little films I played on the first day was that, it's kind of like very similar to that phrase that we find in both Christianity and Buddhism, "Be still and know." In the Bible, it's "Be still and know that you are God," or that you are divine, or "Be still and know that I am God." But "be still and know" is an amazing instruction for self-inquiry. It's like you want to recognize, so it's not just be still, still in the body or still in the mind, but be the stillness. Like, recognize yourself as the stillness. Recognize where awareness is looking from, and it's not looking. There's no place that you can find, because you're there. You're it already. So be still and know directly. It's a direct knowing. It's only the mind that is searching. The mind is looking here and there, trying to find something, but be still and know. Just be still, recognize yourself as the center, as that stillness. Awareness is closer than the you that you think you are. The true self is closer than the you that you think you are. It's already you. But your focus, the focus is on the screen of the mind and the thoughts. So another thing in this practice, we want to recognize when we're sort of stuck in a loop. Sometimes after we've done a few dyads, we start to notice that we're saying the same things or repeating. So just notice if you're stuck in a loop. Sometimes we can get stuck doing almost like a weather report of what is happening, and we want to go deeper. We want to only convey to our partner what is coming up as a direct result of that inquiry. So there might be things that are not so important. There might be, an itch on my toe or something like that. So we don't need to give a complete report of all the phenomena. We want to convey what is coming up as a result of having done that inquiry. When I intend to directly know myself, what moves in the mind and body, what comes forth. So that's what we want to share. There's some people already coming to a place in the dyads of, not much phenomena happening. And in the Charles Berner technique that we're using in that world, sometimes they refer, there's actually stages of progression in these dyads. So, at the beginning, we might be answering on the level of mind, and then we realize that that's, just intellectual answers are not satisfactory, and then we start, really trying to directly experience who we are, and then deeper phenomena starts to come up, maybe from the unconscious, but at a certain point, the stage might appear, and I'm going to turn off the chat here. It's just becoming a little distracting. So in Charles Berner world, they call this no man's land, where there's not much phenomena happening. It's like we come to the witness, and there can be very subtle things that can be trickling up to the surface when we're hanging out in no man's land. So so we're not it's maybe a peaceful place to hang out, very very kind of tranquil, and not a lot of phenomena. So this if that is happening, we want to attune to the subtle. There may be very subtle things in play. And I'll give an example. So the first dyad that I did myself, when I went to my first self-inquiry intensive, the beliefs that I was carrying at that time, I was really into Buddhism. So I had a lot of Buddhist kind of baggage. And I had a lot of things that were just beliefs, things that I had read or been taught, and they were concepts that I was holding in my mind. And so one of the concepts was anatta, or the idea of no self. And I had this idea that there is no self. There's no, that our true nature is empty somehow. and this creates an obvious problem if we're doing self-inquiry. We're inquiring to find out who we are, but yet we hold this belief that there's no self. So the problem obviously was, anatta, or no self, is not, it's not a belief. It's not meant to be a belief. It's meant to be a direct insight that comes in meditation. We experience it directly, and it's not that there's no self. It's that the true self is not a thing. It's not something you can point your finger at. But it's definitely not nothing either. You can't really say what it is conceptually. So half of the world's teachers say there's a soul, an Atman, and half of them say Anatman or Anatta. And they're actually, the ones with realization are actually saying the same thing, because it can only be directly experienced, and it's non-dual. So it's not thing or no thing. So this presents, so these types of beliefs are really, if we're holding on to something like that, then, we're not really doing the inquiry. There's something blocking sometimes in the unconscious, and this can, this can throw a wrench into it until these hidden beliefs start to come to the surface, and sometimes, there can be a frustration that arises, or if we're holding a belief like that. In my case, I just felt the whole thing was really stupid. I thought this whole self-inquiry thing is just ridiculous. Like, what are these people doing? This is total nonsense. There's no self. What is this about? The teacher's deluded, and I've had samadhi experiences, and you guys are just lost. And luckily, the teacher knew people like me. He had experience with them, and walked me through it, and said, just keep doing the technique. Just, maybe there's no self, but just find out. You have to find out. So actually do it and find out the truth. And luckily, he got me to do it. But my ego was really, coming up, and all the knowing around the spiritual stuff that I was holding on to really, really came to the surface. So it's really, really important, and it can be subtle. There can be subtle things in all different ways as well. Sometimes if we're hanging out in that no man's land, just being present, being very aware in the moment, deep things can come up to be cleared from the unconscious, and it's really surprising what can come up. People think they've had no trauma in their lifetime or nothing, and then all of a sudden something crazy comes up out of nowhere. So we just have no expectations. Just be completely open and allowing of anything to come forth, and just be free with whatever comes up. Don't worry how it looks or about being expressive or loud. It's all part of the process. And I think the only other thing I'll say is, confusion, tiredness, all these different qualities in the mind, they're part of we can expect those things to come. These blocks, like confusion is a big one for a lot of people. Sometimes people they seem to move through this process without getting really confused, but quite often the mind will come to a point where it gives up. It's like you've exhausted everything, and there's this confusion. And if you can just allow that, a confused mind is really a don't know mind, when there's no resistance there. If you're fighting against, you're really trying to figure it out, and there's resistance, then then it's like you're in a battle with yourself. But if you can just allow the mind to be confused, then it becomes a don't know mind, and that is perfect. That's the gateway in. That's the creating the conditions for awakening to happen. Okay, so yeah, so I think, do we have any questions about inquiry? I've got a few minutes before we're going to get started. Yeah, I'll see if there's people I haven't spoken to. How about Sage? I don't know if I've spoken to you. Why don't we go to Sage? Hi there. Oh, I'll ask you to unmute. There we go.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Okay, what keeps coming to me is, and it seems similar to what you were talking about, that I know that these things that I'm reporting are not me. I don't feel like it's me, but I can report things that I see. And last night I could see that that what I was seeing and opening up to was on a deeper level. I felt like it was more, I can't even explain it. It was more like body memories or something, or, or patterns in me that I was reporting.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe they're me. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what confuses me, this
Mm,
thing.
yeah, that's okay. So the technique is, we have our best intention to directly experience who we are, and then the technique is just to report what comes up as a result of doing that inquiry. So whatever phenomena. So of course, if something comes up in the mind, or feeling energy in the body, you can explore whether it feels like but if it's temporary phenomena, then at a certain point we know it's not us. So we do this process in order to clear the mind. This is a clearing process. So you can just engage with the practice, just do the technique, clear whatever is coming up, and then the next time, that direct inquiry, it may be you the next time at some point. Either when you do that direct inquiry, it's either you'll know who you are directly, or there'll be more to clear. There'll be this ongoing process.
Thank you. That helps so much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Go to Alana. Oh, here we go. Can you unmute?
Okay, there we go.
Here we go.
Hi. So when I was doing the practice yesterday, what I noticed is that I was very attached to the sensations of the body and how the body was responding to the inquiry. And so there was a bit of a frustration that I'm still attached to, like how the body is defending itself and armoring. And so I guess my question would be, when do you what starts to happen when you're clearing? What will I start to feel? What will I begin to notice as I start to let go more and more of my defenses and my armoring, my sensations? Because it seemed like both times that I was doing the inquiry, I was very much still focused more on on how the body was responding.
So it's different for everybody, first of all. So I've seen just so many different ways of moving through these dyads. So I don't really know what it would look like for you, but generally, what if you can feel what's going on in the body, that resistance or armoring, that's really good material to work with. Like that's exactly what you want to be working with. So, these dyads, they bring up that armoring and those defense mechanisms very quickly, and so that's what you want to explore. We want to convey that to your partner, exactly what's coming up. Where is it in the body? What are the thoughts associated with it? Go into that frustration. What is that frustration like? Maybe there's a pattern there or something. So just explore it fully, and the way we clear the mind is to just communicate it fully. So that frustration, sometimes it's like, I just want to awaken. I don't want to, this is just body stuff, but that's the stuff we have to turn towards. It's the stuff that we sometimes least want to deal with. But whatever is authentically coming up in the moment, that's it. That's what we want to work with. Thank you. Okay, and maybe one more. I'll go to James. Can you unmute there?
Hearing it. Okay, I got it. I think.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the same place when you were talking about your Buddhism stuff. I've been studying Course in Miracles for quite a few years. I do the lessons every day.
Mm-hmm.
Twice a day, I read the book and I meditate. That's been going on for 4 years. And I read the book with my wife in the morning when we get up at 3:30 every morning, and I do my meditation about 4 o'clock every day. That's every day.
Mm.
And I had some things happen this year that were kind of like I felt were miracles. So I thought I was coming along because the lessons were like almost fitting every day of my life. And Bill Free, I got a thing from, because I followed him for a couple of years. And so, but the Course doesn't tell us about a body. And it's like I was really upset, very angry, almost wanted to leave today. I had to go down and talk to my wife because the last meditation was terrible for me. And I was really angry, or feeling angry, and hurt because I couldn't let it go. What I've studied, I got this book in 1989 when I got sober.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been following this book for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like letting go and like just releasing what I've just trained to try to untrain the mind is what the Course is doing, is trying to untrain our minds.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not sinners, we're not guilty, there's no fear, it's repetitive so we can let these things go. And I know the wording here is different.
Mm-hmm.
But the Course tells us too that when we're going to wake up, get rid of the Course too. It's just
Yeah.
we're not supposed to hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing right now, I'm still holding on, and I'm not sure how to
Hmm.
quite let it go.
Yeah, well, the way you're describing it, you have a lot of insight into what is happening, what's going on, with your path. So I would say like that's perfect material for the dyads. This, like, whatever's coming up. You mentioned an anger coming up. These are, as the deeper we go with the meditation, the inquiry, if there's ever been any, anger suppressed, or sadness suppressed, or frustrations, or things, parts of ourselves that have not been allowed to be fully communicated, they keep operating in the shadows. And so this is an opportunity to clear them. And exactly what you're describing, about following the Course in Miracles, and the knowing, all of this stuff is very fertile soil for working with during the dyads. So I would say just go into it and share just the way you're sharing with me right now, and just be free with it. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to jump into breakout rooms here shortly. I will just set that up right now.
Ildiko, can you see that you need to join room 34? Can you hear me? Room 34? Can you unmute, Ildiko? Okay.
Hi, Tayama. From 59 to 65 are single people.
Yeah,
selected.
I'm moving them right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving them. I'm in the process.
All right.
Yeah. Almost got there. We just have one extra. What am I gonna do with him? Oh, I'm gonna put him in Ildiko. What room is she? 30, what was she? 32? Where was Ildiko? Oh, 34. Okay, I'm gonna put him in 34 and then we should be good. I'm gonna move him to 34 because I don't think Ildiko is here. I think she needs to go into the waiting room. Okay.
Okay.